Polyamory. Yes, I thought about it, you guys. I explored it. I even came close to it. Can you believe that? A couple of times. Okay, here's my story. Oh, by the way, you guys, if you haven't subscribed, please do. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. So if you love me, you know what to do. Subscribe, y'all. So let's start with this, okay? I actually have the capacity to be in a polyamorous relationship, which is why I kind of felt attracted to it initially because my Venus, the planet of love and sensuality and attraction, amongst a few other things, is in Gemini, right? Which is known as the versatile sign. It has the symbol of the two heads. Gemini represents this mutable type of energy, this adventurous, exploratory type of energy, because naturally, Gemini rules the third house of learning and exploring and education and teaching and movement as well. The third house deals with like curiosity, and Gemini is an air sign, so that energy needs movement. It's like the wind, okay? And that energy resides in my eighth house. And if you know anything about astrology, or if you don't, the eighth house is the zodiac house that deals with like deep mysticisms and spiritually deep aspects of life, rebirth, and transformation. And it's also known as the house of sexual energy. And so my Venus and Gemini is in that area, okay? So it's not a surprise that I would be drawn to polyamory, right? By the way, you guys, I do astrology, and the service link is in the description box if you're interested in getting like your chart read or anything else. So I somehow came across two different opportunities to be in a polygamous relationship, right? So the first time, okay, what I was attracted to in that individual is that he was very business minded. So he had, money avenues in place, like several different money avenues in place, right? And he was highly spiritual and was also psychically gifted, which is what I presumed at first, right? Now, mind you, this was the first opportunity, and this opportunity took place or happened before I was saved. Okay, keep that in mind. This is before I was saved. And he was reeling me in with promises of being able to work as like a private dancer. And I've always had like a deep love for dancing. It's like definitely one of my loves. I mean, I grew up dancing. I was known as the dancer in my family. So I virtually met the rest of his wives through Skype. Now, Skype was kind of popping at that time. I don't hear many people mentioning Skype these days, but Skype was a live video connection app, and you could get on there and talk to people and stuff like that, and it's been around for a while. Anyway, there in that app, we were talking through video, and they would like show me around the house, through the video. They would show me like their different outfits, and they were showing me different things like the money that they were making and stuff, and the trips that they were taking and stuff like that. And they were explaining to me how they took turns, taking care of the children who also lived amongst them. And they were like assuring me that my children would be, well taken care of too. But in the end, I decided to decline. Okay? I decided to decline that offer. And let me tell you why I decided to decline this offer, okay? So, some really spooky stuff started happening. All right, for one, so for one thing, I realized that he could literally read my mind. And that was the first time that I found out that some men have this ability. And I talk about that more in my false twin flame story. So if you haven't seen that yet, a link will be in the description box, okay? So like one day I was, sitting in my living room, and I had just finished like texting with this guy I was talking to, right? And I was starting to kind of fall for this guy that I was talking to. We'll call his name Steven, okay? So I'm sitting there with the phone in my hand, and I'm like in this, deep thought about the conversation I just had with Steven. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm really feeling this guy, Steven. Then I hear my phone ping. And I look down, and it's a text message from the polygamous guy, right? The text said, and I quote, because literally it's one of those things that you just never forget, okay? And the text message said, "Who the hell is Steven? Why you thinking about Steven? You might as well forget him because you're about to be one of my wives." My eyes got so big. I was like, what the entire... So I was both intrigued and taken aback. Venus 8th house. So at the same time, I'm like, I was really... So from that point, I guess he realized that there was a part of me that was kind of intrigued by that. And so he started doing those type of things more and more to where it was really spooky. He would call me when I was thinking about him, and then he would text me things that I was thinking. He would tell me about my dreams and stuff. And then I started getting spooked, okay? So I said, you know what? I think I better research this guy a little bit further, because I'm like, what and how is he doing this? Okay. So I came across one of his, one of his old Facebook pages, right? And something had caught my eye. It was a live video. And in the video, he was talking about the books he wrote, okay? And the certain demons he worships. And he had the nerve to say in the video that he has sold his soul to the devil for his gifts. I kid you not. Okay? And I was like, oh my God, I got to get away from this dude, right? And so from that point on, it was deaded. Listen, this type of stuff is out here, y'all. In case you didn't know, believe it or not, I'm here to tell you. This is how I know I'm an old soul, because like I came into this lifetime destined to experience some of the wildest things, and destined to experience like so many different things in one lifetime. It's amazing to me. So anyway, the second opportunity, right, came a couple of years later. This person was also a polygamist who at the time, to be honest, was kind of well known. I will not say the person's name, but believe it or not, we had somehow became acquainted. And this took place during a time where I was trying to like come up with a plan to leave my then husband. Y'all, this is a whole different time. I'm not even going to go into the amount of times. Listen, because I was completely miserable in that relationship. But I will say that I would often express to my ex-husband what I was feeling and how I wanted to get out of the marriage. And every time I would express that, he would convince me that my assumptions was wrong and that he would be better and all of this other thing. So, that's a whole nother story. Okay. But it was one of those moments where I was very, very close to leaving my then ex-husband. And I was already in this process of like thinking up my next move. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do in this situation? How am I going to get out of this? And it just so happened, because that's the way lessons work, that's the way destiny work, when you have to experience certain things. But it just so happened that me and this person became acquainted. It wasn't anything like sexual going on, anything like that. It was literally just like a, what would I call it, a teacher to a student type thing, because this individual was very much into a lot of the things that I was into spiritually. So let me just say, I was offered to become one of the wives of this individual. But I think the main reason it didn't happen was because, and this is to make a long story short, because there's actually a whole story behind this. One day I might tell it, I don't know. But to make a long story short, this individual had way too many stipulations for his wives, that with the kind of energy I have, I just knew it would not work. I knew that I would also be miserable in that situation. I could not adhere to those stipulations that this individual had for his wives, okay? And so it just did not happen. It didn't happen in that opportunity either. It's like, I understand the whole polygamy concept. I get it. And I believe it can be done, correctly. And I understand the whole one kingly man having two or more wives. I get it. I don't think a lot of the men are doing it right. But I do think that there has to be. I've seen a couple that are doing it correctly. But there are a lot who are not. And I mean, God did allow it, way before there were all these governmental regulations and rules in regards to that, and I get the whole sister wife thing. Like, I feel like that can be a really beautiful thing, right? So I really feel that dynamic. However, after, diving deep into that and coming across those opportunities, the overarching thing for me was that I realized that my soul literally longs to experience monogamy in this lifetime. So, but before coming to that realization, I was still kind of, at this point, okay, I was thinking to myself, okay, now I'm single, I don't have a husband. Maybe I should try polyandry. Okay. And polyandry is when a woman has more than two husbands or boyfriends at a time, right? And of course, in that dynamic, everyone is aware of each other, and they can, navigate through that dynamic the best way that they see fit and how, right? You just have to know as a woman how you want or how you would like for that dynamic to go, right? I love the fact that, it's nothing is hidden in it. There's no lies, there's no secrets, and everybody's in agreement with it, right? And yes, there are plenty of women living this particular lifestyle successfully. Is it right or wrong? Well, I mean, that's not for me to judge, okay? But I did go so far as to join a few polyandrous groups, and I was studying the whole concept. Venus and Gemini, love to be studying something, right? And I wanted to understand how best this works and how it can work for me. And then I realized, in order for me to be happy with this, in order for me to truly be happy with polyandry, I realized that I will first of all need to find two godly or spiritual men. Like, for me, it just ain't gonna work if they don't have morals and values and integrity and stuff like that. I just knew that was not gonna work. So that was like a top thing for me. They had to be godly or highly spiritual. Okay. And I needed to make sure that they would agree to the way I wanted to conduct things, which means, they understood that I get to have more than one, but they can only have me. And that was my mindset. Like, I can have 1, 2, 3, but y'all only gonna have me. Yeah, that's it. Me. Queen me. You know what I'm saying? So, and I must say, there were actually plenty of men in these groups who were actually willing to conduct things that way. They were actually willing to do that. But the whole process of finding the right compatible person with the right chemistry plus a good heart with integrity intact was super hard. Okay? It was like a needle in a haystack type of thing. And eventually I was just like, this is going to take way too long for me to find what's made for me in this type of situation. And this is going to take a whole lot of trial and error, which is crazy. Okay, so eventually I was like, this is going to be a no for me because I just don't have the time and the energy for this. So obviously my true deep desire was not with this, was not with polyandry, is not with polygamy. So it's like, no matter how interested I became in in polygamy, something will always pull me back into the direction of monogamy. Who knows, maybe, next time, maybe next lifetime, I'll be a polygamist. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. But I do know that in this lifetime, I desire to experience the most deepest love possible between two people. Between two people. That's what after really doing a lot of deep soul searching and also going through those little trials and errors of trying to figure things out, I realized that deep down, that's what my soul really wants to experience, is deep love between two people only. And at this point in my life, I have absolutely no doubts about it. Okay? So that's my story, you guys. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Love, guys.